Welcome, beautiful souls, to Season 4, Heart-Led, Soul-Fed podcast. This is a show that explores how we spiritually and practically embody a life that's heart-led and soul-fed. Many of you know I went whole food plant-based almost a year and a half ago, and part of that is incorporating a strong, healthy mind, body, and soul. So upgrade your body with nutrient-dense supplements that are organic, non-GMO, and not tested on animals. Message me for your $25 gift card. 360-degree wellness begins by building a self-care kit. You can begin that with a dream journal that I curated, a gratitude journal, and my book, Intuition Saved My Life. Plus lots of other beautiful heart-centered conscious products. Episode 257 welcomes Paul Weeden all the way from the UK. He'll be joining us live and talking about how we can live and be authentic on purpose. I guide empaths and old souls to overcome anxiety, unworthiness, and overwhelm, to unleash their gifts and find their purpose. In 8 weeks, you will come away with transformation, clarity, freedom, and purpose. Unleash Your Magic is now open. Unleash Your Purpose is 1 year of the ultimate transformation within a group experience. Isn't it time to love yourself? Looking for your soul tribe? Well, you found the place. Our Soul Healers community is welcoming you on the path towards your best life in this lifetime. Learn how to heal with Usui Reiki. I teach level 1, 2, and master, as well as animal Reiki. Guess what? You're psychic. I'm holding a beautiful masterclass all about learning how to open up your intuitive, innate gifts. Replays can be found anywhere you watch your favorite videos or listen to your favorite podcast. Please like, subscribe, and follow, and join us live every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Mountain. And to find the latest and greatest events, happenings, contests, and more, check out my new website, christine.gold. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Whether you're live or you're on the replay, let us know where you are in the world. Is this your first time joining us, listening to us? Maybe you just stumbled across this. You're not sure why you're here. There's a reason. There's always a reason. Here's the thing. We're not going to dismiss the information, the collective, the universe drops on our lap, right? That's how synchronicity and manifestation works. So let us know where you're from. Please say hello and share and tag and comment and do all those wonderful, beautiful things so that other beautiful souls can find us. And of course, because it's not about me or you, it's about we. And today I have a very special guest, Paul Weeden. I'm just going to bring him on and I'm going to stop talking. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
So where exactly in the UK are you?
So I'm in a small city called Brighton on the south coast, which is about an hour from London. It's kind of famous for being bohemian and open-minded and, somewhere people come to have fun at the weekend, that sort of thing. But also quite spiritual, actually. And there's lots of, Reiki people and yoga people and therapists and that kind of thing as well.
Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm. And we're just welcoming lovely Gitte from a rainy Denmark. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. That's wonderful. Yeah, you're saying bohemian. So, I mean, it kind of I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and we have some bohemian places in the area. Mm-hmm. So do you, I guess in Brighton, do you find is it transient at all, or what's the vibe there?
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of people. Yeah, lots of people coming and going all the time. Lots of students, big university and language student kind of city. So there's lots of people coming and going. And it changes very frequently. I've been here 12 years, no, 14 years this winter. And I also lived here in the 90s when I was much younger for a few years as well. So I've seen a lot of changes, and a lot of people come and go. And it just seems to, it's just probably the most open-minded place I'd say in the UK, even maybe except for London, perhaps.
Okay.
Mm.
And where are you from originally?
So I grew up in Essex, just outside London,
Mm.
on the sort of slightly more northeast coast, which was much more suburban and kind of just more kind of everyday people, very working class, very working class done good kind of folk. So I've always been around sort of southeast really, except for living abroad briefly and living in Scotland briefly where my dad is.
Ah, Scotland, that's a place on my list. I've got
Uh-huh.
UK, Ireland, Scotland, Iceland.
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
doing this
Oh,
whole
yeah, I'd love to
yeah.
go there. Yeah, amazing.
So maybe tell us a little bit more about why you got into, your mental health services, your
Mm,
CBT. What
mhm.
kind of, I mean, I want to go to childhood. I mean, I think that's where we all tend to go, but maybe you can let us know.
Yeah. I think, I kind of when I was in school, I was all I really cared about was music. I was obsessed with, kind of rock music and
I love
rock
rock too.
bands. Yeah. I was just absolutely fell in love with Van Halen and Bon Jovi
Mm.
and Def
Oh,
Leppard and
yeah.
stuff growing up, and all I wanted to do was sing and play guitar in a band. And I actually got sort of pretty close to it when I was very young. I was only 16, 17. Um, I was in a local band in a town called Colchester, and we were playing all over the southeast and London, everything. We weren't even old enough to be in a lot of the places we were playing, and I got to perform with some of the ex-members of Iron Maiden and some bands like Dogster Moore and a guy from American band White Lion, and
Oh, wow.
and just I was really really young, and it was all I really thought this is my life, this is going to happen. And then the kind of grunge scene kind of came along as I was reaching my late teens. I didn't really know how to kind of adapt to that. A lot of my friends kind of went off kind of hard rock, and I thought I'm going to get into kind of kind of electronic music, rave music, and do something else. And I just kind of, my parents were like, yeah, you've had a really good go at that, but maybe you should get some other skills under your belt and keep doing your music. And it was that kind of 80-20 kind of thing where I was jumping around from job to job, career to career, kind of hospitality, fashion, and lots of other things, web design at one point, all kinds of things, but not really feeling much. Everything seemed to be much more about money. And I think if I'd had a coach or a good therapist at the time, I would have kind of perhaps steered towards getting more music knowledge, more theory, more music business, more production, which I have done later in life over the years. But I kind of lost my my sort of dream a bit, lost my way a bit, until in my 30s I was getting into self-development, kind of off the back of, I guess, bouts with sort of some mental health stuff like depression, and just not feeling kind of good about my day-to-day life. And I got into people like Wayne Dyer
Oh,
and
yeah. He's my
Neil.
favorite.
Absolutely, yeah, Neil Donald
Mm.
Walsh. I was a big fan of all his books. Doreen Virtue, I read all her books, loved all that. And and that just kind of led me towards, I suppose, meditation and more kind of self-development workshops. And then it just came to me one day as an idea that I think I'd met some counselors and therapists and stuff on some of these workshops I was doing, and was just like, I think I'm going to give that a go. It just seemed really clear that was my next thing. So around sort of early 30s, cutting on, what is it, like 17 years now or something, I started sort of training to be a sort of counselor, therapist, and clinical supervisor, and then coach, and working with the body and coaching and that sort of thing into my 40s really.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's very interesting that you're musician. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
I was holding a supermoon ceremony with the Lionsgate last night, and we were talking
Wow.
about, yeah, we were just talking about, the energy and how people are like, they were asking me what channeling was. And I said, it's intuitive writing. It's all the same. I said, and you don't have to
Mm,
channel a being from the
no.
400th dimension. You just channel your higher self. And then I
Yeah.
said, musicians are probably the biggest channelers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think if they're making music authentically and they're not writing for Simon Cowell or someone like that, then which is much harder to do it if you're working for someone
Boo.
like
No,
that.
sorry.
Well, I mean, if you are working for them,
I'm
it's going to
just
be really hard.
teasing. I'm just teasing. I'm
Not
just
that I would
really,
work
I
for him.
mean, kind of channeling Simon there.
Mm.
Anyways,
Yeah.
in the early days, he was quite mean. And now I think, well, I feel because he's had children, children have kind of his son. Anyways, that's a whole other story. But
Mm. Hmm.
yeah.
We could
And
digress.
we
Yeah.
were talking about the tones, the healing tones of music. It's just not
Oh
in
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
today's music, it is all
Yeah,
pre
yeah, the
80s.
ancient, yeah, well, the ancients, and knew a lot more about frequency, and although I believe Nikolai Tesla did as well, and he did quite a
Oh,
lot on
yeah.
frequency and vibration and tuning instruments to the closer to the Schumann resonance, and I think what's known as the solfeggio tuning, which is something I've explored a little bit myself. Yeah, so all of that's really really fascinating, isn't it? The idea that we're all frequencies and made of vibrating particles, everything, and music is as well, and that's I think that's pretty fascinating.
It is. I mean, science is just catching up to what Eastern philosophy has known for thousands of years, right?
100%, yeah. Yeah.
So I guess what's your purpose? Do you feel it's right now?
Yeah, so I suppose if I could maybe explain a bit about how I got to that. Yeah, so over the last kind of 15 years or so, I've been working for various organizations as a mental health counselor, and yes, in schools, for the National Health Service for a few years, in private practice, working with a lot of professionals in London, like lawyers and people in finance and all of those big institutions, and found out that um, even people who have these great careers and earn lots of money, they have similar problems in many ways to people um, kind of who don't have that. And what I realize is most of them, they're doing things either for money or because they feel that they have to. And often I found out they don't really have hobbies that they do anymore, or much kind of going on in their personal life that's really really sort of meaningful to them. So yeah, sort of over the years, I've kind of helped so many people from all different ways of life, all different backgrounds, to kind of guide them and help them, support them towards doing more things, even if it's just in their free time, even if it's just what they do at the weekend with their families and friends, rather than just everything being about work, really.
Yeah, no, I get that. As I'm sure we're both entrepreneurs, right?
Mm-hmm,
Sometimes
mm-hmm,
that's all that we is our work. But we find when
mm-hmm.
we're pushing too much, we're doing and we're not being. And
Yeah.
even if you're taking moments of rest and especially play and just letting go, like just getting outside, you
Mm-hmm.
receive, I don't know about you, but I receive so much inspiration, so many clearings, so many ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's
Absolutely, yeah.
important to especially be creative, I find as
Mm-hmm.
well, because it's very healing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as amongst other things. I mean, because if you're not living joyfully, having fun, play just to play, then I get it. You get led astray. I've been there. I was on that corporate hamster wheel and
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when we're young, it's very easy, isn't it, to kind of have fantasies and imagine, I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be an athlete, or whatever it is, and just over time, we get gradually steered towards, societal's expectations of us, cultural expectations, family expectations, friends, and before we know it, I always think it's a bit like a gym membership. In the new year, everyone signs up to a new gym, and best of intentions, they go 3-4 times a week for a while, and then over time they gradually find more and more reasons every week, every day, to go less and less, and after a while they're not going there hardly at all, and they're still paying for it. And I think often with work and careers, it's like that. We sort of get steered towards it's just about money, just get through the day, and then just go and do something else to forget about it. You watch Netflix, drink some alcohol or something, or whatever it is, and be distracted basically from yourself, from your life, rather than sort of go into it and say, well, look, what do I really want to do in the next 5 minutes? What do I really want to do in the next day, in the next 5 days? And I think if we start practicing doing more things in our free time that are meaningful, then over time we'll align with ideally a career that is more meaningful and purposeful for us. And if not, then at least we could put more, perhaps, sort of passion into what we're doing, even if it's not, if we know we have to do something because we've got lots of bills to pay and family to feed and all that, which is, I totally understand. Then we can just decide, well, I'm going to give it 100% or as best I can, and just make the best of my free time, and then work towards something perhaps more authentic and purposeful in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, children. I mean, I work with a lot of people in healing their inner child. Is that at some point in their life they were told, what they did was dumb. It doesn't make money. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, what would the neighbors think? We don't do that in our family. You're not
Mm.
good enough.
Grow
All of
up,
those, right? Yeah.
yeah. Stop being selfish and stop being idealistic. Yeah.
Stop being a dreamer. Oh
Mm,
boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I think there is, obviously with being an adult there comes responsibility, and we should do things safely and responsibly, where necessary, of course. But that doesn't mean that we can't make, radical, important changes by doing things safely. I mean, but often there are these underlying assumptions, these black and white thinkings that people have, that I just can't do that until something else happens, or I can't do that right now because whatever reason. And just over time, it just gets harder and harder to get back to who you really want to be. And often I think we sort of look back, we might look back when we're, say, 90, and we're not going to say, I wish I spent more time just making money for the sake of it. We're going to say, I wish that I
Yeah.
spent more time doing what I really, really want to do, what I really, really wanted to do with my life. And now it's kind of too late to do a lot of those things.
Absolutely. And it really comes down to our beliefs. I always say they're BS. Our belief systems are BS, because they become our feelings, and then they turn into our actions, and then we get our results.
100%,
And
yeah.
we love to talk ourselves out of things.
Mm.
So
Oh,
where do you
absolutely.
think that comes from?
Well, I think it kind of often starts with parents. Obviously, the first people that we come in contact with, and they, most of the time they're well intended, and they just want us to be safe. They just want to not have to worry about us. They don't want to be stressed about and worried about how we're getting by every day. They want to know that we have security and stability, and we all want that for our family and friends, of course. But sometimes they're sort of blindsided by that and miss out on saying occasionally, just go for it, just absolutely, you've got nothing to lose, especially if you're like 25 or whatever, and you haven't got any kids yet, or you haven't got a lot of responsibility. What have you got to lose? Just totally go for it, and quit that job that you aren't enjoying, that is making you miserable. Just go and put 100% into what you really want to be doing for a while, and then reassess, or at least spend your time with people that you really like, doing things,
Mm,
free time with people you really like, and doing things you really enjoy doing. You don't just work to live, as they say.
yeah. Live to work.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
always worry if I
Yeah.
get that the wrong way around, but that is
No,
right.
it's fine. It's all good. I get it. And I like to surround myself with people who are smarter
Hmm.
and doing amazing, great, inspirational things. And dare I say, better looking? It doesn't matter. No, I'm kidding. I just remember Gene Simmons talking about his kids, and he has this big ego, right? But he's tongue in cheek. He said, "How dare my children be, better looking and taller and making more out of their life than I did." So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
that is
really what it
interesting. Yeah,
comes down to is our parents' fears, things that they didn't get to accomplish.
yeah, yeah.
They,
I think there's definitely elements. I've definitely worked with a lot of people whose parents are envious of them, or don't, or at least don't show them the kind of support that they need and put them down on. And some of it sounds well intended, they're worried about them, but ultimately it's damaging. I like to tell them, don't do that, or maybe you should focus on your day job, or don't quit your day job, or maybe you're not as good at whatever as you think you are. That's really not what people need, because everyone can get better. I really believe everyone
oh,
can get
absolutely.
really good at whatever they really focus, really kind of focus their attention onto long enough. You're going to get good at it. There'll always be someone better, of course. There'll always be, and it's not a competition, but you'll always be the best you can be in your own unique way. You
Yeah.
can't juggle unless you spend a lot of time. I was talking to my son about this the other day. Like, why don't you take up juggling? He's like, it's boring. I just want to kind of play video games all the time. It's like, it's not boring. It's just that you have to give it so much focus that eventually it will completely. I'm not a juggler by the way, but I've had a go, and I've seen people who are really good at it. We all have, and it's absolutely hypnotic and mesmerizing, and it's certainly not boring. The attention, the focus, and the dedication it requires. And I think anything that's worth doing in life is kind of like that. It's playing the guitar or dancing or singing, making things with your hands. All these things aren't supposed to be easy, but they're supposed to take time and practice, right?
Yeah, and there's a perfectionist. There's a lot of those,
Mm-hmm.
or they not being patient and loving with themselves. They expect to have it right the first time, and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's not true. I mean, I've been at this podcasting for almost 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to video one, like my first video ever. I'm looking. I'm like, wow, okay. You know
Yeah.
what? We're doing great. It's all good. I
And
mean,
that's
you
all
got to.
part of the process, yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's so important, isn't it? Because to have that, that process of self-development, and in any art form, in any skill, in any, and I think in the culture now, we're in this, certainly in the West, we're in this culture of instant gratification, instant dopamine hit, which is highly addictive, and I think very damaging to children's development.
Oh
An
yeah.
ability to be self-disciplined and kind of get better at something and be accept where they are, and just they want to just be beating a video game in a day's time and winning, I don't know, whatever it is that doesn't even exist within a game. um,
Oh yeah, I
but
remember that with my boys. They love video games, and we would play certain games, Super Mario or whatever it was, and then we needed
mhm.
cheat codes because we had to beat that
Yeah,
level. I
beat
just
that.
thinking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that. I'm like, that's just crazy.
But back then it wasn't as so all consuming and seductive. Like the game wasn't live online, and if you mum said dinner's ready, you could stop and pause it even and come back to it. And now it's like, oh, I can't stop, I'm in the middle of this tournament. And the fact the world revolves around that tournament, they think. And it's very frustrating and actually irresponsible for, I think, the makers of these things to kind of build things in that way, that it's so damaging to family time and our kind of family cultural time, and that.
I agree. I do. I mean, it reminds me of a friend of mine. He's written a couple books. His latest is Stolen Focus, and that's
Mhm.
exactly what it is. And if they only
100%.
knew,
Yeah.
these people that play these games, they have skills, they have coordination, they have determination, they have,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things. They
Yeah.
just, and I can hear the seagulls. Are you by the sea? You can hear
Yes.
the,
Yeah. Very
yeah,
much.
well,
Yeah.
that's nice.
They're really big. They're like they steal your sandwiches and everything.
Oh, wow. They're like the version of our ravens here. They're huge too. They could take off with cats and dogs. I
Yeah,
mean, they're just yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Gitte is just saying it's a work in progress.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I think video games are great. Just coming back to it for fun, like every now and again as a treat. But go to the amusement arcades with $10 or whatever, have a great time. But you leave in a couple of hours and you go and do something else. You don't stay there all day or stay locked in it for 5, 6 hours. You can't afford to. That was the thing that kind of kept you, I think, from doing that. Is you had to keep putting more money in it, and now it's just it's just at home. These cinematic games that are just all consuming,
Mm.
just in people's homes, everyone's homes. I mean, I've worked with children in schools that have never read a book. Their parents have never
Oh
read them
wow.
books. They just either watch Netflix or and very short things, not even movies very often. Often they just watch quite short episodes of things, 10, 20 minutes, and then they don't even read books. They just play video games. They rarely, they don't do any team sports. They rarely go out into nature. It's I think it is a real concern.
It's very concerning. That's like a disconnection and a form of escapism as well.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, we
And
need to do.
it plays on mental your health, your everything,
Yeah,
like your
yeah.
whole body.
I'm pretty convinced from a lot of the work I've done in schools that I mean, so, especially in special needs schools. I mean, almost 100% of the children have ADHD, autism, or both, and sometimes something else, some other diagnostic, and they're all addicted to video games. They're all addicted to energy drinks. None of them read or watch movies anymore. None of them have much quality time with their families in the way that we would have done when we were growing up. I think this is, it's kind of, if not causing it, it's making these neurological conditions worse. I think it's certainly
Mm,
worsening them.
I agree. It's yeah, it's wow. A digital detox, that's what I'm hearing. Just
Mm.
unplug everything. I remember this one time, my niece and nephew didn't want to do their chores, and mean Auntie Christine unplugged the Wi-Fi. Well, I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
seen 2 kids move any faster.
You would
Going,
never heard the
"Where's
end
the
of it. Yeah,
Wi-Fi? I can't get
yeah,
online." And I
100%.
anyways,
Yeah,
I was, the wicked witch of the West. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
care.
yeah.
I don't care.
It's the
Anyways,
worst punishment for them, isn't it? Like that's what they're working towards. I mean, I've said to my son, if you can do anything in your free time that's suitable for your age, and it's got to be have some meaning to it, and it's got to be out there with others, or at least taking photographs or making something, or but if you don't find something that you have some passion for, um, some love for, that you're sort of developing, then you're not going to have a computer in the future. I'm not going to, and that's something I don't want to do. I don't like being all or nothing. I like I think the middle path, which I think comes back to perhaps Buddhist kind of philosophy, is where possible the best, isn't it? If we can walk the middle path and enjoy something, but not be overly stimulated and not be overly dependent on it, that's ideal. If you can't, then you should knock it on the head. Yeah, but
agreed,
before you
agreed.
do that, you should really try, if you enjoy something, to enjoy it sensibly.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
same with, kids, "Oh, I don't like broccoli," or "I'm not gonna eat that," and I'm like, "How do you know you don't like it? Have you tried it?" "No." I
Yeah,
I would challenge
yeah.
them. I'd be like, "No, you have to try it first."
Hmm.
Anyways,
Or they try it with a sort of the mindset of, I'm not going to let myself like this, and it's just kind of like, and then I
oh,
don't,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the other. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
I'm gonna prove you wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're good at that, the little ones.
Oh,
Yeah,
they are. They're always testing boundaries and pushing.
definitely,
I get
definitely.
it. I get it. Gitte, yeah, very important point from Gitte. Lack of grounding. I mean, that's part of getting outside, hugging a tree. I mean, I just saw
Yes,
this
yes,
massive dragonfly go by, and I'm always looking for
yes,
signs or
yes.
messages. But that's just how my mind works.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just there's nothing better than reconnecting with nature for your own, well-being and therapy. I think it's one of the strongest things. I mean, I don't know about where you. I'm sure it's better than here, but the summer this July has been the wettest in I don't know how long, and
Oh,
I'm usually swimming in the sea every day. I'm usually out running every day, and we're on picnics, camping trips, and I'm really hoping it's going to improve, because that does affect my mood, the seasonal, you
the
know.
seasonal affective usually happens in the winter, not the summer.
Yeah, it's happening for me in
Hmm.
July. It's happened in July at the moment, which I'm a bit down about, but it will get. I know it always gets better, but it's dragging now. Come on, like we've had like sort of 10 degree, not 10, but maybe 13-degree mornings on like quite a bit this month.
Wow.
Which is
Okay.
pretty very cold.
Yeah, we're close to the
Mm.
mountains, so, like today it'd be 31. It's been really warm here, but then it drops down to 11 overnight, so it gets, because that's that mountain, it swings high and then it swings low. So,
Wow, yeah,
yeah.
wow,
Mhm.
awesome.
So who are your favorite types of people to work with? Is it children? Is it corporate? Who?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think it's a type of person, like if I were to pick it out of the differences, I suppose that just somebody who's got a hunger for self knowledge and self development. They want to learn and grow and let people help them. They're open minded. We have amazing conversations. Yeah, and they turn up. They commit to the work, and they turn up. And do the work, and they work hard, and I love that feeling of working with people. They work me hard, they work hard. We get fantastic results in often quicker than we expect. They come back and have something else they want to kind of do next. But often I'd say often they're creatives. Often they are, as adults, they're often professionals, and they're often in a really great profession in a way, and that's one time they've probably really loved it, and they're now kind of experiencing frustration, sometimes burnout, sometimes they're off work, so they kind of got to a point where they're having time off work perhaps, and they're at a point where they really are at crossroads, and they really want to to kind of focus and commit to kind of going in some new directions really, and changing some lifestyle habits. And I mean, one of the people I spoke to this week, a guy who with another podcast, I think, called "Lifestyle is the Medicine." I think that's called, and I love that, because I've thought that for like quite a few years. I've never actually like quite said it out loud, because I thought, well, it might not be, but I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. And over time, I'm like, it definitely is. Like the more you do in your life that you love and is meaningful and enjoyable, or at least brings you something that has some purpose, and even if you don't love it, even if it's more of a chore, but there's some jewel, some gem in there for you further deeper
Mhm.
down, then you're going to feel really alive, and you're going to get up every day feeling like, what am I doing today? You're not going to keep pressing snooze like I've done for years, and like many people I talk to do. Just keep pressing snooze and going to bed as late as you can to get the most out of the day, because you sort of have this misguided illusion that by staying up later you gain more the next day, rather than losing more the next day, and actually you're just a zombie. You're just walking around feeling terrible and in a bad mood and don't want to do anything, don't enjoy anything, you're just half asleep. But I did that for years, and live to regret it, and realize, actually, why not actually go to bed earlier than you need to, or start to get ready to. And that's one of the things I talk to people about a lot, is sleep hygiene. So start preparing for
Mm.
bed an hour or so before you actually want to be asleep. Meditate, stretch, yoga, breath work, reading something that's gentle, or listening to some really gentle music, and then just fall asleep feeling really blissful, and wake up at 6 a.m. feeling pretty damn good and ready to get up, and excited about, what am I doing this morning? What am I going to do? Get some exercise, eat some good food, send some meaningful emails, have some great conversations. Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, seems like a much better way of living than going to bed late, getting up late, jumping out of bed, jumping in a shower, not even having anything to eat, jumping on a train or a bus, grabbing a cup of coffee and spilling it all over you on the way, running into some office or workplace, covered in coffee and sweat, feeling terrible like I used to do.
Yeah, we've
Late as
all
well.
done that.
And
Your coffee spills, the whole day is ruined. Oh, yeah.
all over your shirt and like sweat everywhere and just and it's like you're
No,
late
that's
again.
important about the sleep.
Mm,
Is your home a sanctuary? Is your bedroom set up for success? Meaning, is
absolutely,
it
yeah, yeah.
cool? Is it
Mm,
comfortable? Is it
mm,
inviting? If it's not, then make it
hmm.
how you want it. If you can't
Definitely,
shut your mind off, what do you
yeah.
suggest for that? Because people will be like, as soon as I put my head in the pillow, my mind is going.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's more about the build up to that, and so I think often when people tell me that, if you start to examine what they did before that, often there's things like they were still answering emails and work calls at 8, sometimes later in the evening, or doing some work related tasks. So they haven't actually stopped working. They're at home and they've had a meal perhaps that they've barely noticed and
Yeah.
barely spoken to their family, and they're half still in a conversation with somebody who's somewhere else in the world. And then they've watched something overstimulating,
Mm.
murder or series or some massive drama. They might have played video games. They probably had some coffee or maybe too much alcohol. Um, and then they just kind of, and then, they kind of just got into bed and just expected to kind of be tired. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, you're overstimulated and your brain's still saying, what about this? What about this? What about this? So often I talk to people about having a journal and a diary for things you put down for tomorrow morning. 7 a.m. I'm going to do this. I'm going to send this person an email. I'm going to address this. So then you put that out of your mind. I'm going to, perhaps have some light exercise when I get up. So you start planning the next day. I'm going to eat something delicious. I'm going to have some nice fruit and a little bit of coffee maybe to get me going if you like that, but not too much. And so yeah, it's kind of like, I think it's like being more organized and actually taking out what
Intentional.
intentional and exactly, and taking out what you don't need. You don't need to be stimulated by mainstream news or any news actually late in the evening, especially if it's bad news,
Oh,
which
the
it usually
news.
is.
News stands for
Yeah.
never evolving with spirit. I don't subscribe to
Oh, I
it.
love that. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, never evolving with spirit and just like taking in a load of sort of negative information and fear that doesn't really matter right now whilst you're trying to get ready for bed anyway.
No,
And most of it you can't do anything about anyway.
that's right.
So put it aside for maybe, when you need a bit, I'm not saying don't know anything about the world or don't ever watch the news. Of course, if you enjoy watching the news, but do it mindfully and do it at a more sensible time of day, perhaps, maybe on your lunch break or something like that, or sometime when you don't need to sleep afterwards. So I think some meaningful habits are really, really important to kind of cultivate.
Yeah, like having a self-care routine. I mean, I talk about that with my clients all the time, and it's something I practice every day as
Mm,
well. Yoga and breath work, meditation has been everything for me, journaling. And then I like to pull cards. And these
mm,
are affirmation
mm,
cards.
mm.
I am powerful.
I love that.
I
Yeah.
am happy.
Mm-hmm,
So that's
mm-hmm.
about going back to gratitude. So if you can pick just one thing and then start
Yes.
building up and then
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
it to yourself, and it
Mm,
just
mm,
becomes who you
mm-hmm,
are, and catching your old beliefs and thoughts as
mm-hmm.
well. I feel that's really
Definitely.
important.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, it's definitely something I need to get better at. Is that kind of positive affirmations, either writing them down. And I mean, for a while, I was doing this thing from a book called The Artist's Way.
Oh, that's a
Um,
beautiful book. I've
Beautiful book.
read it.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
played with it.
Um,
Yeah.
it's I can't remember her name in this moment, but
Julia Cameron, I
yes,
believe.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the first thing in that I think everyone takes from it is the just the free writing, the sort of free association writing, journaling, where every morning or evening or both, if you want, you just open and you kind of start. I don't really know what to write right now. I don't even want to be writing right now. I haven't got time to write right now. Oh, but actually now I feel like saying this. And over time, you just start to get everything out of your system that is holding you back, your sort of unconscious beliefs, your shadow traits, what you believe about yourself and others, what conversations people had, you can just write out. And when he said this or she said that, I felt, and I should have told them where to go, whatever it is. And it's a really great practice, and I need to do more of that as well. I think that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
a way of sort of purging, and then restore with affirmations and pulling cards and readings and these kind of things. I think are absolutely really, really powerful and really wonderful things.
They are. And then once you're, more open and aware and letting go and being more open to everything, attached to nothing, just
Mm.
beautiful things come in. I'm just going to ask the question, is anyone here struggling with their health, your thoughts, your beliefs, your purpose? Do you need help? Drop your questions here, comments, feedback. We would love to help you, whether it's live or it's on the replay. Either way, we'll
Awesome.
make sure you're connected to
Mm.
either one of us. So we're
Absolutely,
not
yeah.
we're not those other kind of shows where you have millions of followers and you don't connect with any of them. It's all
Mm.
for
Mm.
shock and awe.
Yes.
Um, I don't subscribe to that as well. So, and I
Absolutely.
always ask my guests these two questions. I know you already answered this one, but it might change. What does magic feel like to you, or what is magic?
Mm. Well, I think one experience of magic I have more and more frequently is kind of being in what's sometimes coined like flow state. And so where intuition is kind of guiding your next moment to moment. So it could be doing something creative, like working on a piece of music, or having a really meaningful conversation, or getting a spark of inspiration that kind of says you should check out this YouTube channel, even, or remembering what somebody told you in a conversation, something that would be really good for you to have a look at, or texting a friend and saying, hey, we haven't spoken in a while, I really want to meet up, I really want to hear what you're up to, just kind of following that flow and doing what feels really good to you. I think is one aspect of magic. I think there are many others. I think it can show up as something like miraculous sometimes, like when people don't think something is possible, or think something is doomed and inevitably going to go wrong, and then someone's faith or courage or combination of qualities just leads to something absolutely amazing happening that nobody thought was possible. I think there's a couple of examples there, but I think there are many kinds, and I'd like to have more experience with magic. I've had some for sure. In my through meditation, I've definitely experienced expanded consciousness and being, what's called these days non-duality, which has become quite a trendy term. Sort of having a oneness experience. I've had moments or even days of that at times, which was magical, and then kind of coming back to being more of a sort of individual with insecurities and fears, and more introverted and kind of less kind of fearless, I suppose. More in the ego, I suppose. I guess it's kind of like that, the shift between ego state and higher state. I think higher state is magical because you can feel completely fearless and one with the universe, and nothing phases you, and nothing anyone thinks bad about you matters. And then go right back to contracting into, oh my god, like what's so and so going to think of what I just said, or what I believe about something that everyone else doesn't believe.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what authenticity is just having the courage to be yourself no matter what.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's how I see it, and that's all that matters, honestly.
yeah.
And I think of Wayne Dyer, it's none of my business what other people think. And the thinking, that's where the disconnection comes from. Once you start analyzing and thinking, you've already cut yourself off to the magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, like, I've had thoughts of things I don't haven't perhaps liked my authentic self, haven't liked the self that is kind of pushing to kind of come through and say, hey, show everyone this side of yourself, and it's like, no, I don't want to be this weird hippie guy kind of
Oh,
thing. I
you're
just
gonna
sort of,
attract all the weird hippie guys and gals. Like
yeah,
when we were talking, I see you as like the rock star mental health counselor. Now you're
which
gonna attract people who are like, "Yeah, we love rock. I'm a
yeah.
musician. I'm an inner artist." There you
Mm,
go.
mhm. Well,
There's your tribe.
I think a lot of rock stars would still be. There's a lot of rock stars who aren't with us anymore. Unfortunately, Jimi Hendrix and Janis
Yeah,
Joplin. I think if they had have been more balanced and not just focused on their music and had maybe a
absolutely.
therapist and a coach, or at least more people that cared about them and weren't just trying to make money out of them, they'd probably still be
That's right.
alive. Like, which is very
Agreed.
very
Elvis
sad.
Presley. There's so
Elvis, yeah,
many,
100,
so many.
definitely, definitely, definitely.
Gosh. And the other question I always ask is how can we as a collective energy help make your dreams come true?
Wow. Make my dreams come true.
Yeah. Do you have like, I call it a Moby Dick, big whale of a dream?
Well, I guess my, adult self dream. I mean, I guess my biggest adult self dream is what I really love is helping people to get through to who they really want to be. And I'll always have, my passions and exploring music, and also I love doing martial arts and things like that. But I'm never. That's not my focus in terms of kind of being a professional in that way that I used to when I was in my early 20s. Now I want to just make music for myself really, and for those that love music that I love to make and love artists that I love. That's great, but I don't really mind so much if people don't like what I do. I've kind of come to terms with that. But yeah, my main kind of passion and dream is kind of helping people to kind of align with who they really want to be and help them to not make some of the mistakes I made when I was younger, or at any age really. It's never too late to kind of line up and make a commitment to yourself to be more real and like kind of
Hmm.
just get through that fear of what others think, or what you even think about your how things might not work out. Why not just do it anyway? And then when you look back, you can say, well, I really gave that a really good chance, and actually I loved every moment. And even though I didn't get the outcome I really perhaps imagined from my maybe ego self, I've got an amazing outcome, and it's the outcome I was meant to have, because that's where I am now.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So you want to help people, but what does Paul want?
I want the
Like,
world to, well, what do I ultimately want? I want the world to, connect and, yeah, get aligned with themselves and each other and spirit, and stop focusing on difference, and nuance and identity. Not that there's anything wrong with identity. Identity is great, but if that's all we're focusing on and we're obsessed with it to the point of this is who I am and you're not that, and therefore we can't be connected, I think that's a really sad thing. And what I really like, that's what I really like doing, is helping people to kind of get closer to their authentic purpose. And I've got this ebook
mhm.
that I'm putting out, this free ebook that's kind of about helping people to kind of start doing things in their life that's really meaningful to them. So um, read read stuff that's going to help you grow. Pay attention to people who know more than you. Have mentors. Have philosophies that are you can get really into. Do a practice with your body, a dance, a martial art, acting, whatever, anything
Mhm.
that brings your body and mind together. Play chess, sing, make stuff, um, do stuff with people, connect, play sports. That's what I really, really want to do with my life, is really helping people to do that. And then spend the rest of my time having a great time with my friends and family, doing things I love to do because I love doing them. And they make people happy and they make me
Wonderful.
happy.
Yeah, and there is a free e-guide, 6 steps to live a more authentically on purpose. So I've dropped that
Awesome.
in the comments and in the description. So you
Thank
guys
you.
have it there. You're welcome.
Mm.
And Gitte is just she's noticing your well, I think it's a plant. In Danish, I guess it has a nickname, mother-in-law's sharp tongue.
Is it? I think it's aloe. We call it aloe. I think it's an aloe plant. I don't know which one. I'm not very
We
good at
call it a
plants.
snake plant.
Do you? Isn't it? Has it
Yeah.
got three
Isn't it?
names, and well,
Yeah,
it's
all
probably got
these
more
interesting
names.
names.
Wow.
Snake, alley, and sharp tongue. Interesting.
Do you know what? It's the only plant that doesn't die without loads and loads of attention in my basement flat where there isn't a lot of sunlight.
It's a hardy plant. Yeah.
It is very hard.
Yeah, those are fantastic. And plants are, they just add beautiful energy to a space as well. So,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Well
it was
thoughts.
wonderful connecting with you today, Paul. And if you want to get a hold of Paul, I've left all the information there. Mind Body Counseling and Coaching. You can check that out on
Yes.
Facebook
Awesome.
and
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
website.
Mm.
And any last words before we say goodbye?
Yeah, so if you enjoy the ebook and you enjoy the newsletters that come with that and the workbook that comes after that, you can book a one-to-one with me to kind of get to know each other a bit better and focus on what would you, if we had a magic wand, what would your ideal life look like? And
Mm,
we'll explore some of the things maybe you used to want to do and some of the things maybe you've only just decided you might like to try, and look at maybe what are some of the realistic kind of barriers that may stand in your way, maybe your perceived barriers even that may stand in your way, but maybe they don't stand in your way. Maybe you just feel that they do, and we'll break down those. And we'll, if you wanted to, we'll put together a little course of work for you to kind of get where you really want to be. That's kind of the goal, really. So yeah,
beautiful. Well, thank you so
awesome.
much for joining us. I really appreciate you. I just have a little bit of housekeeping, everyone. If you're not familiar, I've been holding a free Authentic Connections via Zoom the first Saturday of the month, which is coming up this Saturday at 11 a.m. Mountain. The links are in the descriptions and comments as well. If you can't find it, let me know. And we also held a lovely Lionsgate supermoon in Aquarius. As we all know, there's 2 supermoons this month, pretty powerful, potent energy, really channeling. I mean, this is the time for manifestation. This is it. This is the portal. This is the gateway. So if you want to learn more, head to my YouTube channel. And as well, I'm holding a workshop, really unleashing and tapping in and honing and knowing your intuitive gifts as a psychic, as an intuitive, as a healer. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sending everyone lots of love. And please remember, let the healing begin. Do you feel stuck? Are you in pain? Are you looking to create your soul's purpose, but you don't know where to start? Unleash Your Soul's Purpose Mentorship. Hi, my name is Christine Gold, and I'm the founder of 24 Karat Healing. The highly experimental mentorship will help you discover your gifts, free them, and shine your inner light to spread unconditional love. Unleashing your magic and your gifts, and ultimately your purpose. You will experience phenomenal breakthroughs, aha moments, epiphanies, energy healing, clearings, inner child work, higher intuition, vivid dream recall. All training slides, PDFs, and audio meditations are recorded and available for you to watch at any time. You can take them with you wherever you go. I hope to see you soon.